Awesome! Alright, you guys have been learning this concept a whole lot through what we've been teaching and what you've been learning, which is really powerful. But now we're gonna get to the actual chapter on it, and the chapter is on how to let the other person save face. I mean, this is the BAM, this is the kabow, this is the dream, and I'm super pumped about it. So with that said, let's go over to the computer and let's make it happen! The challenge is they wanted to remove this guy Charles Steenmans from the head of a department. And this guy, I mean, he was super huge on this pedestal. He was a genius when it came to electricity. The challenge was that he was kind of a failure as the head of the calculating department. Calculating, it kind of just wasn't calculating, wasn't his thing. And so because it wasn't really his thing, and he was more into energy and electricity, he was a very valuable asset to the company, but he just was in the wrong place. A lot of times you see managers, they promote people or they hire people and they put them in the wrong place. And so it's really critical that you kind of deal with this in a proper way if you have someone that is a little bit more sensitive, because if you don't, you can really hurt their public perception, you can hurt their face, and that's really a quick path to the wrong road, and it can really crush you. And so what happened here is the company, GE, did not want to offend Charles because he was very valuable, and he was also highly sensitive. So they gave him a new title, and they made him, from leader of the calculating department, head of the calculating department, they gave him a new title of consulting engineer. And so they gave him this title that made it look like he was getting a promotion, when in reality, I mean, it was just basically the same job he was doing. It was just a new title for the work that he was already doing, right? And so they give him this new title because people have some infallible obsession with the titles that they have, and it's crazy. I look at people, I'm trading stock, or managing investments, and people are like, well, what do you do? What do you do? It's like investment advisor, or financial planner, like titles, it doesn't matter, dude. It's just what you do. But a lot of people get freaked out over the titles behind what they do. It's just berserk. And so they gave this guy a new title for the work he was already doing, and they let him go and do his own little thing with the electricity, and they brought somebody new in to head the department. Now, if this happened normally, somebody new comes in to head the department, it's gonna feel like you just got knocked off your pedestal, but they did it very well here because they gave him this new title. And so that's sort of the introduction here, because this made this guy super happy, and it also allowed the officers of GE to gently transform and shift leadership positions while letting this guy save face and creating a lot of value for the shareholders. When this book was written, GE was pumping, absolutely crushing it. And the reason why is because of very calm, level-headed techniques just like this, where they maintain social hierarchy and social status for their individuals while still sort of doing the best thing for the overarching company. Very powerful concept that happens here, and it comes from this idea of electricity, of consulting, of what he was passionate about, and then taking what he's passionate about, making it its own thing so that he could feel like he had significance. Because a vast majority of the performance people have at work, or in a race, I mean, I've taught you guys about this before, I would literally race better when both of my parents were there versus only one or none of them being there. It's all about confidence, right? It's all about belief. And if you can have 80% of the skills, but if you don't have the emotions behind it, then you aren't gonna succeed. You have to have emotional belief and commitment, and a lot of that comes from the reassurance of a job title. For some people it just comes from the quality of the work that they do. For this guy, it came from his job title. And so if something's really important to somebody, and face is very important to many people, you've got to focus on it and empowering people to have a quality social image of themselves so they see themselves in a higher light and therefore perform at a higher level. Very powerful concept. And then Dale talks about how vitally important it is to let other people save face, and how so few people ever actually think about saving face, and how they ride over the feelings of others without actually caring, which is a really big challenge. And they look at faults, they issue threats, they criticize children, employees in front of others. You cannot criticize in front of others. It makes people feel like crap because it crushes their public perception. And people don't even consider the hurt to another person's pride. Pride is so critical. You have to. I want to put this in rainbow because it's so important. People value their pride over a vast majority of the things that you might think they care about. Pride is important. And it's not like, I did it in rainbow, but it's not like gay pride. It's like people want to have pride in the work that they're doing and the role that they have in society. You look at people that literally spend 6-8 years of their life getting a doctorate or becoming a doctor or getting a really high level degree. A good chunk of that comes from what? It comes from the status and the symbol that will have in their life, it will elevate them over others and give them a higher amount of pride, a higher amount of personal face in society, and that leads obviously to higher compensation, higher value, and higher amounts of impact. Why do people go through that process? I personally could not, that's just insane. It's an insane amount of school. I know a lot of people, they're like graduating with PhDs. I'm like, what'd you learn? They're like, I don't know. I don't know. That's another topic. But it's like, you'll have people that go through this process and it literally pulls them through like over a half a decade of school, of additional school, like not just high school or crap or whatever, but like actual quality, hardcore, paid for education, because they desire to build their faith. And it works ridiculously well. Call someone a doctor, whatever, they're gonna feel awesome about themselves. It all comes down to this concept of faith. And obviously there's more factors to education, but a really, really big motivating factor for a lot of people across all aspects of their life. Faith that they build, really critical. Okay, so that's the key, right? Let people save face and just spend a couple of minutes considering how other people are gonna feel. Spend a couple of minutes trying to get a genuine understanding of another person's attitude and understand how far you can go towards alleviating that pain and giving them public face, not destroying, right? Remember these steps, the next time that you face a distasteful necessity of discharging or reprimanding an employee or a friend or a coworker, it doesn't matter. It's so harsh. Here's a really great quote from a letter written by Marshall Granger, who was a CPA. He said, "Firing employees is not much fun. Getting fired is even less fun. Our business is mostly seasonal. Therefore, we have to let a lot of people go after the income tax rush is over." And here's the interesting part. Obviously, nobody wants to hold the ass. And if you guys have seen like Moneyball, they have this scene where like the leader of the team, he's the big actor, and he has to go and he has to like fire these football players over and over, or baseball players, sorry. He just has to walk in and fire these baseball players over and over and over so that they can trade and get new players and get better skills. And so this coach is so used to firing people, so he walks into this big empty room. It's got like this blue carpet and there are like whiteboards on the wall that are completely empty. All the computers in the room are just shut off. There's no power except the lights that are on in the ceiling. And he calls in a player into this room, and he's already sitting in the room, and the player got called into the room, like I guess mobily or something. And he walks into this room, closes the door behind him, like this glass wall behind him. And behind this glass wall, you can see like all of his teammates are sort of standing in the locker room, and he's sitting here on this bench, and the coach has his hat on. He has like red hat on, and he like lifts it up. He looks this guy in the face, and he says, "You're fired." Grabs his hand, shakes his hand, and walks out. And in that moment, this guy loses everything. When his coach said, "You're fired," it crushed his whole career. And he went home that night without any way to pay the rent, without any way to support his family. So it's so critical that if you're gonna go through obviously, I've had to fire a lot of people personally, just with the work that I do. Like you have to find people that work well. You have to hire slowly and fire fast. And so here, he's showing that he's got a difficult place. It's not particularly easy, but it's a necessary deed. The guy in Moneyball, after he fired enough people and hired the right people, they went like 21, 22 games undefeated and won the world championship or whatever. Why? Because they're basing it off of facts, logic, and numbers, not the emotions tied up with having a bad employee. Even good people can be the wrong fit for a good job, and you have to get rid of them if they aren't a good fit. It's not a matter of question. It's a necessary fact of running a business asset.